Hi everyone, it's Laura, the Betrayal Boss, and today's podcast is about where does people pleasing begin? If you ever wondered why it's hard to say no without guilt, why you feel responsible for keeping the peace all the time, or why your body tenses at thoughts of disappointing someone, you're definitely not weak, you're not broken, or oversensitive. You are carrying a survival strategy that started long before you were old enough to choose it. People pleasing does not begin in adulthood, it begins in childhood, in the subtle and not so subtle moments where we learn that love, safety, and acceptance were conditional. For many of us, the pattern was written into our nervous system long before we ever knew what the word boundary was. Maybe you grew up in a home where saying no wasn't safe, where every disagreement led to tension, conflict, or even withdrawal. Maybe you learned that being easy got more approval. Or maybe you discovered that you could anticipate what someone needed before they asked. You could avoid their disappointment or anger altogether. Your young brain drew a conclusion. It is safer to please than it is to risk being rejected, abandoned, or even shamed. This isn't a weakness, it is adaptation. And for a child, adaptation is survival. What we call people pleasing is often the fawn response, a lesser known survival mode alongside fight, freeze, and flight. When your body senses threats, emotional or physical, it can respond by appeasing the perceived danger. You may smile when you want to cry, agree when you want to protest, or even soften your tone to keep someone calm. Over time, this becomes automatic. Your nervous system learns, if I make myself less of a problem, I'll be safer. The challenge is, what once kept you safe is now keeping you small. Fast forward into your adult life, and people pleasing becomes a silent identity thief. You agree with things you don't have the capacity for. You apologize when you've done nothing wrong. You edit yourself so you're easier to love. On the outside, you might look together, helpful, but on the inside, you might feel resentful, exhausted, and quietly invisible. It's not that you don't have needs. It's that your needs have learned to take a back seat to everybody else's comfort. What I want you to hear is this. You are not broken. You are not dramatic. And you are not too much. You're a woman whose body and brain learn to keep her safe by keeping her small. And the beauty of the nervous system is this. It can be rewired. You can learn to tolerate the discomfort of saying no and not explaining yourself, of letting someone else sit with their own disappointment. You can choose connection without abandoning yourself to maintain it. This week, I want you to notice the moments when you feel the urge to please or fix something or someone. When you hear yourself saying yes automatically, pause, and I want you to ask yourself, is this a true yes? Am I agreeing to avoid discomfort? What would I choose if I didn't fear the consequences? There's no pressure to change anything yet. Awareness is the first step. You can't change a pattern that you can't see. People pleasing is not your personality. It is a learned response. It began as a way to keep you safe in relationships where your needs felt at risk. But now, the work is learning to be safe with yourself, safe enough to speak, to say no, and to hold your ground, even when someone else doesn't like it. The truth is, the real you isn't here to be easy to love. She's here to be true. So I want you to look back and I want you to think if you've experienced the fawn response in action. So if you've ever felt you've left a conversation and you replay the things you wish you had said if you smiled through frustration or swallowed anger to keep the peace. This is definitely the fawn response. It is one of the body's natural survival strategies, just instinctive, like flight, fight, or freeze. It's your nervous system's way of avoiding danger by appeasing the perceived threat. But when this is triggered too often, it can keep you trapped in a cycle of self-abandonment. The term fawn response was first used by a therapist called Pete Walker, who described it as a survival pattern where instead of confronting or escaping the threat, we seek to please it. Imagine you're in a situation where conflict feels dangerous, not just uncomfortable, but truly unsafe. Your body assesses the risk in a fraction of a second and makes a choice. Instead of fighting back, which is your fight response, running away, flight response, freezing, freeze response, you soften yourself. You agree, you smile, you shrink your needs so other people stay calm. In that moment, this is definitely not weakness, it is protection. Your body is doing what it believes will keep you safe. When you experience environments where conflict brought rejection, anger, or even punishment, your nervous system becomes wired to prioritize safety over authenticity. The danger is that over time your body can't tell the difference between a real threat and a perceived one. A disagreement with a friend triggers the same "I must keep them happy" instinct that once protected you in a volatile childhood home. A tense moment with a partner sends your body into an old loop of just agree and this will be over quickly. You're not consciously choosing to abandon the truth. Your body is just doing it automatically. The fawn response might keep external peace, but it creates internal chaos. You end conversations feeling small, unheard, and possibly resentful. You lose touch with your own wants and needs because they are suppressed for so long. And the more you make yourself easy to love, the harder it becomes to feel truly loved. Because the love that you're receiving is not for your authentic self, but a version of yourself that is always agreeable. The truth is, keeping the peace externally often means waging a silent war inside yourself. The first step to unwinding this fawn response is awareness. There are physical cues that your body gives you when the urge to people please arises. You feel tension in your shoulders. You notice yourself smiling even though you're unhappy. Sometimes your voice changes. It gets softer or higher or just more careful. These are the signs that your nervous system is sliding into fawn mode. What I want you to do is when you're noticing yourself fawning, pause just for a minute. Take one hand and put it on your chest and take a slow, grounded breath. Silently remind yourself, I am safe enough to have my own thoughts here. You don't suddenly have to disagree or confront somebody. This isn't about swinging to the other extreme. It's just about slowly reintroducing your body to the idea that you can handle authenticity without danger. Over time, this creates a space for you to respond from truth, not reflex. Fawning is not your fault. It's just an echo of your nervous system that learned very early on that peace was survival. But there's definitely hope. Survival patterns can be rewritten. Your body can learn that truth and safety can coexist. This is a foundation of breaking the people-pleasing cycle. Retraining your body to let you speak and be seen without feeling like it's a threat to your survival. You're not just learning to stop people-pleasing others. You're learning to start keeping yourself. I want to leave you with this today. People pleasing is not who you are. It is something that you've learned to survive. The fact is that now you can see it for what it is. It means that you're already taking the first step towards breaking free. Awareness isn't small. It's the beginning of everything. So as you go back to your day, notice these moments when you shrink, you soften, or even say yes when you mean no. And instead of judging yourself, get curious. Change starts with gentle self-awareness, not self-criticism. Thank you for spending the time with me today. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and share it with someone who you think that might needed to hear this. And if you are ready to take the next step and work deeper, you can connect directly with me on Instagram. Just check the link in our show notes.